Hello, Anthony.
Hello, Joaquin.
So today we're going to talk about words. In our
Word.
last video, we talked about awareness and
hmm
how do you think words affect awareness, and how do we start disattaching from the
hmm
intent and the emotional baggage the words have?
Yeah, well, initially, I would say that words take you out of awareness. And part of that is because of the meaning of them and your attachment to them and your identification of them and what they mean to you. Because it's a complete distraction from the present moment to have words in general, especially going through your mind. And words are the basis for thought, really.
And as the Dhammapada
hmm
says, Buddha said that what you think becomes your reality or something in that effect. And when you say, I am sad, first you declared it and then you feel it. And if you say, I am happy, you declare it and then you feel it, or vice versa, but you always declare it. But
Yeah.
what if you say, Estoy enojado? You guys don't know what I said, probably.
No. So,
But you saw my happy face, right? So what would you assume?
well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't assume. I wouldn't assume. That's the point.
That's the point.
I know because
I
a lot of
actually-
the time we're assuming, and that
Just for the record, I
Yeah.
say I'm angry.
Okay.
But I said it
Okay.
with a big smile.
Yeah. So the meaning is lost, but the intention's lost. And for me, I'm like, I'm not picking anything up because I don't know what's going on. So instead of assuming and trying to figure out the whole situation, I'm just being aware of, oh, he said something in Spanish, and that's that meaning to
That's
me.
all.
That's it.
That's all that matters.
There's no involvement with it. It's just a fact, basically. That
And the
I
moment that you
heard
start
something.
thinking, like, what did he say? And why did he say it that way? And why did he say when I was
Yes.
here? That creates the whole
Involvement.
involvement.
Really, yeah.
And sometimes we just identify a word, we associate it with the word, and then we get lost in this translation. A lot of the times, we're just like just like very happy at work, and then you're like, ugh, that already meant something to you, and it makes you move. But who created that ugh? You did, no one else.
Oh yeah, that feeling came from you.
And you can go
Yeah.
like, I mean, and it might not mean anything, but the moment that you say, ugh, you create this emotion around the word. The word doesn't mean anything because for all I know, I can actually read something in English or Spanish or Italian if I knew Italian, and they might not mean anything. So once you learn or understand the meaning of the word, you start creating this attachment to feelings and emotions. A lot of times we read a text and we're like, well, I don't care either way. And then you're like, what do you mean you don't care? And it's like, but that is a very humble and nice way to say, I don't care. You can
Yeah.
actually say in person, I don't care.
Well, that's the thing. The words themselves don't always carry anything. Even George Carlin said that, there's bad thoughts, bad intentions, bad ideas, and then words. And they're in a separate category. But when we talk to each other in person, we can put that intention into it with the tone of voice, our body language, and everything that can go towards the words.
Don't get me started about body
But in
language.
texting, well,
It's
in
like we get
texting-
so lost in this.
We get lost in
trying to
texting.
study. We try to
Yeah.
to lost and
We get lost in meaning, too,
in
I know.
meaning, yeah.
But when the words don't have an inherent meaning through text, your mind creates, oh, he's angry with me, or oh, it creates all this intention that's not there, and that causes a lot of conflict.
We create a narrative to something the other people text or other people say, and the other people intentions is different. And you might say, no, that's exactly what they meant. Well, first of all, you're convincing yourself.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative right there. And a lot of times we have to make people accountable. If they say yes, well, they say yes. If they say no, they say no. We don't have to poke digger. And why am I
We
saying
don't
this?
have to
Because
find meaning, yeah.
no, a lot of times you see these platforms of people trying to lose weight. What do I do if my friends insist on me going to eat out? It's like, first of all, they shouldn't be insisting. If you already say no, and you say, I don't want to fight with them. Well, first of all, why are you fighting? Mm-hmm. You just need to be very humble, very calm, and say, no, like I said before, I am on a diet. You don't have to say, you guys have to respect me. It's like, okay, just say no. Mm-hmm. Just don't try to make yourself credible for saying no. And if they tell you something like, well, you are an ass, well, so be it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of insecurity in that too, though, is that interpretation and then being afraid of what they're going to think. It's so much involvement in your mind when you're trying to talk to someone. And back when we didn't have texting and you could just talk on the phone, you could hear them. You could hear what they were saying, and you could say, oh, no, thank you. Let me go to lunch next week. And you can say, oh, great. But when you get a text that's like, no, thank you.
You read it.
I'll go to lunch
no,
next week.
No, thank you.
Exactly. You don't hear it in the way that they said it. You hear it in the way that you're interpreting it. And that's also the mind is interpreting all of this stuff and the words. So
and what do you say that's also like losing awareness?
Completely.
So basically, words are extremely important.
I know. It doesn't matter if you're right or not in interpreting. It doesn't matter if your interpretation is right or not, because you don't know and there's nothing there. You're just creating it regardless, whether it's right or not. It wasn't something that was given to you necessarily.
And in the point, you just have to make people accountable for what they're saying. And I'm not saying that if your cheating boyfriend or wife are telling you, no, I'm not cheating on you, you should just believe it. But be aware that if you accept that you are accepting is their truth. It's not yours, and it doesn't make you more or less. It's just only making you the person receiving their truth. Later they might come back and they be regretful, I lied to you, and you say, okay, well, now you might be saying the truth. And this is not taking away what they say first, but also just being at peace. Okay, now they're saying this, it's okay. Does that mean that the people can take advantage of you? It doesn't really mean anything. It only means that for you to be at peace, you need to take what other people say as their total truth. If at some given moment they come back and say, I'm sorry, I said a lie, you say, well, so be it, you said a lie. And it can go all over the place by saying, well, do I believe this person or do not believe this person, blah, blah, blah. But the point of this little talk, it's about the words. The words when you say, you can actually, if you are capable to say, I hate my mom, and be happy about it, guess what? You already took away the power from the words. And just for the record, I love my mom, but I don't give the value of the words than other people give. And you might be thinking like, well, that's horrible, so you can be lying to me right now. It's like, pause, Karen. I'm just saying that the words are more convincing when your heart is completely open, and you can actually just tell someone, I love you. And the person will be like, they're taking, because they're actually listening and they're observing that intent and that emotion. I can go in, again, the example, go and tell my mom, I hate you. And she'll be like, oh, you're kidding. But see, because now the words don't carry what you said, that emotion, that feeling, that intent. Yeah. Now words are nothing but words, and they're just a mere way to communicate.
Oh yeah, I mean, we need to talk about intention too, but even with intention, like when somebody brings you those words,
I hate you, Anthony.
Exactly. Even if you said it with anger, it's my choice whether or not I get upset.
Bingo. It's your choice, not mine. Yeah.
Exactly.
I can say for all I mean,
yeah. I know.
So words have the validation that you give them.
Yeah. Well, I've had people sometimes say like, oh, this is a very odd situation back in, I don't know how many decades ago in high school, but where someone is like, you can't hurt me, say whatever you want and you can't hurt me. And so I was like, okay, I'll try that. And I just said the worst things I could. And then they started crying.
I was like, wait, what? What did you say?
Because it's easier to say that than to do it for a lot of people. Because, I mean, you're not used to having this coming at you and then just being able to say, oh, that doesn't bother me. And usually it's the truth that does bother you. Because that's like the first thing I went for. Like, oh, you do this and you don't do this. It wasn't angry. It wasn't anything. It was just a fact.
It's just a fact.
And that's
why facts hurt.
That's why it hurt, because they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. And that's so bad and everything else. I didn't think you would be able to do that to me and whatever. And I'm like, well, I didn't. Like, you did it. I just gave you the fuel. You're the one who started the fire.
And in that moment, he or she decided to take the words and transform the words in emotions. And it's almost like grabbing a knife and start stabbing yourself. Words are that. Words are as powerful as you make them. Someone can tell you, like, you can go again to the supermarket and someone's scanning and it's like $34.99, and you right away take offense on that. And she just told you $34.99. The damn cashier, that's her job, and God only knows what she's going through. Just told you $34.99, and you get explosive because she say $34.99.
Well, where's the meaning in that?
There's no meaning.
Exactly.
It's just a number, and it's an amount, and it's $34.99.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, you have that amount in your account.
Yeah. And going back to awareness is leaving that meaning outside of yourself.
And it's
It's
not being a robot.
There is no meaning. And if you want there to be meaning, you can create one and you can get involved as much as you want. And even if that person has their meaning, it doesn't have to be your meaning.
So what are you supposed to feel, Anthony?
Peace.
Bingo. And that's being aware, because peace is the highest form of happiness. And again, my understanding and what to me is a peace is the highest form of happiness, which is happiness is like, and then someone like, did you win the lottery? Yes. And then it's like, oh, you're not constantly happy. I want to believe that no one is constantly happy, because I think it's kind of boring.
Well, it's an agitated state. Being happy or being sad or suffering or angry or whatever else. Emotion itself is an agitated state of your being, except for peace and presence.
Which is awareness.
Yeah, and that's not saying that feelings are good or bad. It's more just saying that they're taking you out of your awareness and your control over your own existence.
You can be selective of feelings and emotions too.
You can.
You decide. And that's why it's important to see words objectively. If someone says, I don't care, that's literally what they mean. They don't care. You don't have to question it. Why don't you care? You don't care about me? No, it only means they don't care. And regardless of how they throw these words at you, it doesn't really mean anything. You are not part of their story unless you start writing their story with their character as the main character. And that's your decision.
Yeah.
And it's always your story. It's always your narrative. Did you hear that? Is your narrative what makes your story as miserable as it is, or as peaceful as it is? So your selection of words and how you deliver them, it's extremely important. So when you disattach the feeling and emotion, you start saying the words very peacefully. Like, I don't know, you had a situation with a friend and you say, you know what, I don't care about it anymore. I just like to be at peace with you. Then it's like, oh wow, now you're giving the right intention to the words.
Yes.
Which is kind of part of the Eightfold Path, which I'm not going to get too close to it, but it's part of the Eightfold Path, which is right speech. You say the words that are needed when not needed, and you don't give much or less. You just give what is needed.
Yeah, well, imagine that you stated your intention as you spoke. Instead of giving it, you would speak it before you said anything, or you could say anger and then say the statement, so people could read it properly, and that it wouldn't be so much confusion or so much having to read into what someone's saying and having to read between the lines and all this other stuff that shouldn't have to be there. Like, we should just be speaking truth all the time, for one, but then if we have this feeling that we need to communicate, we should be able to say, I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm feeling this way, and this is how I'm speaking it. But that's not something we do. We don't really communicate that very effectively. And if we did take the time to think how we're going to communicate that, to think I'm angry, you're probably less likely to say that. You're less likely to be angry when you understand where you are coming from. And then the other person's less likely to misinterpret it or to get into a whole different situation.
But also inquire within yourself why you're angry, why you're sad, why you're jealous. Just say I'm jealous, and you say, well, because keyword, I think. Because when the moment that you say I think is a lie. Because remember, what you think is not a fact. I already said it, is what you think. You said, well, what I think is like, no. If I want to bring you back to awareness, I have to remind you that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the Fight Club rules. I'm kidding. It's one of the rules of bringing you back to awareness, which is you don't know. That's reality. Mm-hmm. And if someone tells you, well, why don't you ask me? And you ask and they give you the answer, you take the answer, you just walk away with it. And if they come back and they say that was not the right answer, just say, okay, well, this was the answer. But at some point you need to really say, okay, you keep giving me different answers, so now I'm going to walk away from you. And that's just to bring you peace. And by you understanding the words and say yes, no, maybe, etc., it's just not, it's not validating the other people's feelings. It's not validating yours either. It's simply seeing the words objectively. And also help you with this error in communication when you invite someone to go to a party and they tell you, I can't because I'm in quarantine. And you're like,
I didn't ask for why.
Yeah. And then you're like, well, they're angry. It's like, no, it's just an answer. At the moment, you disattach yourself from the words.
Well, stop making meaning. Whether
your
or not
meaning,
it's there.
Because you create the narrative.
Whether or not there is a meaning on their side, that's not up to you to interpret until they want you to. They can tell you eventually that why they didn't want to go or whatever else, but as far as I'm concerned, can you go to my party? No.
Done. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, like, there's no further
I don't need to know why. I don't have any attachment to it.
No. And why you don't have an attachment? Because it's healthy, right?
Well, yeah, it's not useful to get into that mind space of having to wonder and think about and whatever else and create all this stuff that I'm going to have to carry with me. It's not on them, it's on me now, and now I'm holding it.
And it's almost like what are you going to do with that information?
Well, exactly. I'm going to drive myself crazy.
Thank you.
I'm just going to keep thinking and thinking and thinking.
So basically, it's not that you're just like, I don't want to care why this person is not coming to my party. It's simply because you already know that asking more. First of all, it's information that it's not needed. It's not going to give you $1 million. I'm sorry, it's not going to give you $1 million. It's bringing you peace. And if you're afraid that someone is lying to you, the good news are you're with the wrong person.
Well, I was going to say that too. This part of this is you don't want to surround yourself with people who aren't being direct to you, that aren't being honest with you, that people that think that you can interpret them or have to interpret them are people that you want in your life anyway.
Because at some point, when you start practicing so much awareness, you can see through people. You can see when someone is actually someone that is good for your life or are not good for your life. And at that moment, people start dropping like flies.
Yeah.
And when you want to continue that the friendship, it's because you see the friendship, it's worth it or not. So when you say, well, then what do I do if I don't supposed to ask? It's not that you don't supposed to ask. It's again, what are you going to do with the information? You're just going to masturbate your mind to get sad and anxious. And if you are at that point that you are with someone where you have to be thinking and overthinking, then you are with a person that is not worth your awareness or your peace of mind. So when you start disattaching yourself from words and see words as what they are, not what you wish they were emotionally, and in a very psychotic way. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
You just realize that they're just words, and you validate them as much as you want or you do not want. So If there is a point in your life where you can say, I hate my mom, I do not believe in God, hell does not exist, heaven doesn't exist, and you can just say it and don't feel anything inside of you, congratulations. You surpass the value of words. Because it's hard.
Yeah.
People to me is beyond that. People cannot say, I do not believe in God. People are like, oh no. But if you are capable of saying it, even though you feel it within yourself, you have surpassed. But if you say it and then later in the day you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that, you have not surpassed words.
Well, the meaning's not in the words, the meaning's in you. That's I think the bottom line.
Exactly.
Is that the words don't have anything attached to them until you decide they do. Or create that they do. That's the bigger probably way to say it, that you create that they have that meaning. And then you get involved with it and feelings come up, good or bad, because of your own creation.
And that's the very moment when you're like, I don't know how to feel. I feel angry. Congratulations, you created that. Because you haven't disattached the feeling from the word. You're feeling that. You already dictated and you declared. You declare that you're crazy, that you're angry, that you're jealous, that you are full of food. That's kind of stupid. Anyways.
That's okay. We're almost done on this clip, actually. But that's okay.
So, practice taking away the meaning from the words. And just keep the communication in the word. So the next moment when you say, I love you, it really feels like you love the person.
Yeah.
And avoid the I hate you, because only people do not understand themselves will say I hate you. Because for you to hate another person, you have to hate yourself first. Because when you say I hate you, you felt that. It's like, did you feel that? I hate you. You felt it. I can't feel it.
Exactly. Where is the hate?
You can actually hate someone like someone that is 200 miles away from you, and the other person is like,
totally oblivious.
And you are like,
real.
I hate you so much.
Yeah.
And who is suffering?
Yeah, you are.
Because you declared.
So you're creating this feeling it's not a real truth. It's just something you're doing.
And you keep grabbing the knife and stabbing yourself.
You're choosing the role of anger.
You did.
And hate.
No one else.
You're bringing it into you. You're not giving it to them. And that's where it is.
Peace.
Living. Namaste.